What's up, everybody? How we doing? Welcome back to another live stream here on Suns Digest. I'm Bruce Velez, and we got another interesting stream here tonight as we are back with our weekly streams as we do it. And we're going to be looking at this Phoenix Suns team in depth, going over their past week, going over how they have been playing these last couple of games, and ultimately deciphering what this Phoenix Suns team needs to do heading into the off season and for this second half of the year. We'll be diving in, exploring all of that and more on this episode, like I mentioned, on Suns Digest here on this weekly stream. And I want to give everyone a shout out who does come into these weekly streams. You guys have been absolutely fantastic, showing your love and support on the channel. And even though the Suns have been quiet, haven't been the greatest over these last couple of stretches, you guys have been able to show your love and support, which does mean the most to all of us here. So, once again, thank you guys so much for always coming out here and hanging out and discussing this Phoenix Suns team as we usually do. But let's get into all the news and let's break it down. As this Suns team has been really, really questionable over these last couple of weeks, this whole season in general. And a lot of fans have had outrage, a lot of fans have been furious, but there have been some bright spots. And in recent games, the Suns have seen that with the player that we have pictured in the thumbnail in Colin Gillespie. And we'll get into a little bit on what I think the Suns should do with Colin Gillespie, as I truly do believe that there is some alternatives for the Suns to really succeed with Gillespie in this lineup, as I do believe that he is an NBA level player. If he's not obviously a starter or a key bench guy at that moment, maybe not the case, but a guy who could potentially grow into a bench role player in the NBA. And I think the Suns have the perfect opportunity in a season in which they haven't been doing the greatest to kind of find that and find these interesting other stories around this team besides obviously pushing for a championship and trying to win. What's up, Phoenix Suns fan? How you doing? Glad you guys can make it to the stream, and glad that everyone can usually make it to the streams on these Thursdays. Like I said, it's been fantastic breaking this team down, and we do these streams every single Thursday, same time, 6 p.m. Pacific or 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Pacific, 4 p.m. Phoenix time, and we also look at a bunch of other news and stuff, and we'll be having some guests on the stream as well in the future as well. That's something that I definitely want to do. But let's get into the news. I know that my face isn't going to be here, so give me one quick second while I fix this, and then I will be there in 2 seconds. I did not fix this before the stream, and I definitely have to edit some stuff for this stream as well. So for the next one, it won't be as clunky it is right now. Like I said, I'm still trying to figure some stuff out. Nope, it's not that one. It's Sun's camera angles. Where is it? There we are. Boom. There I am. You see me, right? Here I am. And here's the Sun schedule. There we go. We got everything set up. We got everything good. Let's dive in and let's do a deep look first. Let me charge my phone. We figured that out first, and then we'll be good to go. And we'll pull the comments back up too. The comments are gone. They won that game against the Clippers finally. They won a damn game after a million losses. Yes, they did. And Phoenix Suns #1 fan. I unfortunately did not watch that game. I was that day on Tuesday, I decided to take a night off from the Phoenix Suns. The local or well, AMC in general, if you're a Stubbs member, offers half off movie tickets on Tuesdays. My friends and I decided to go see Captain America. So I decided to take the night off from the Phoenix Suns, and lo and behold, they produce a big time W when I'm not paying attention, when I'm not here, when I'm not able to watch the game. Of course they do. I saw that they had that nice comeback, but obviously there were some frustrations in that game as well with Kevin Durant, Mike Budenholzer, and all that stuff. But looking back at this Suns team, right? We have seen lots of losses, lots of W's. We not many W's, but they beat the Bulls. They lost to the Raptors, Grizzlies. They did beat the Pelicans once, but lost. But without Zion, very shorthandedly. But lost to the Pelicans when they were fully healthy. Got embarrassed by the Timberwolves. Beat the Clippers, and on Friday take on the Denver Nuggets. So if we look back at this Clipper game, like I mentioned, I didn't really watch most. I didn't watch any of this game, but the Suns were able to come out and win 119 to 117 here. And if we look at the box score, we can see that for the Suns, Durant had 34 points, Richards had 16, Booker 17, Bobo not the greatest, Bradley Beal a little bit of an inconsistent night there, but Colin Gillespie came up clutch with Kevin Durant leading that second half comeback, plus 21 for Colin, 4 for 6 from the field, 2 for 3 from three-point range. And if we want to look at Colin's numbers for the Phoenix Suns this season, if we want to look at his game log, which we can dissect here, we have seen that in recent stretches he has been given some more momentum. 4 minutes versus the Pelicans, and the loss came in, when they had waved the white towel. But in the game where the Phoenix Suns, had no Bradley Beal, no Grayson Allen versus the Pelicans, he was able to suit up, play 18 minutes, and be very productive, shooting 80% from the field, 50% from three, 9 points, 4 assists, 2 rebounds, doing everything for this Suns team. Versus the Timberwolves, once again, didn't get much run, but when he has seen increased minutes, plus 10 minutes for this Suns team, he has shot very efficiently for this squad, but not only does that, but also can spread the ball as a playmaker, as he has had a total of 7 assists, 4 rebounds, and a total of 19 points. Now, we want to look dating back to him, like I mentioned, another 15-point performance, shooting 50% from the field, 60% from the field, 50% from the field. And most of these performances, Colin is brought in when the towel is waved. But if we want to look at the 3 games where he's actually seen meaningful minutes, in those 3 performances, the lowest he shot is 50% from the field on 8 attempts. So not hating on Colin at all. And I do believe that Colin should be given more ample run with this team, as we've seen it succeed with this Suns squad, where as we've seen with guys like Bradley Beal or not with Bradley Beal, but as we've seen with guys like Tyus Jones in the starting lineup or running with some of these guys, it hasn't been that effective. So I truly do believe having a team fully set, not fully set around Colin, but having Colin on that roster would be a key move for the Phoenix Suns, in my opinion. And you might ask how the Phoenix Suns can do that. Well, I'm going to give you guys a proposition, and I'm going to make a video on this on the channel in the next couple days on Suns Digest. If it doesn't come out tonight, it will come out tomorrow. But we did see for the Suns some news revolving around this team, as we did see Oso Ighodaro was sent down to the G League, which I think is big for the Phoenix Suns, as Oso hasn't really played much for this team, and I think him developing and learning to be a better player is going to be key for the Suns' success, not ultimately in the brink right now or in the next 1 to 2 seasons, but also for the future of the Phoenix Suns as well, because Oso has shown us some untapped potential as an offensive scoring big in in the post, has not really developed an outside shot as many as fans would have liked to see, but I think if he does put on some bigger size and muscle on his frame, he could be a suitable backup big, or contendable piece for this Suns roster, regardless if it's the power forward or the center. I do think he'd fit in a little bit better at the center position, and I think that's where ultimately he's going to have to put on that size to grow a little bit for this Suns team. But him going down and playing with this Valley Suns team is key, because this is what we need the Valley Suns for when we have young guys that aren't playing because we want to contend and win. We need them to continue to develop, still get playing time, so they're not just sitting on the bench stagnant, just not developing at all. And we had seen that recently with Oso Ighodaro, so seeing him get that ample opportunity now for the Valley Suns, I think, is going to be key, not only for his development for the Suns organization in the future and seeing that this blueprint can work, but also I did mention this, if we want to scroll all the way down here to this, which I asked the question about Vasily Micic, as Vasily Micic hasn't really played much for this Suns team. I believe he got in for 20 seconds, maybe less than a minute, a couple of nights ago, but besides that, hasn't really played. And there has been interest shown from other European clubs, I believe Tel Aviv, that has a big interest in Vasily Micic. Micic has interest in going back to the Euro League, and they are willing to make Micic the highest paid player in the Euro League. Therefore, I do think that the Suns should, look to pursue a buyout with Vasily Micic. And if they were to look to do a buyout with him, I do believe that the Suns should promote Colin as that final roster spot. Now, I did mention in this tweet that we'd still be able to invest in another two-way, and that is unfortunately false information. The deadline to sign two-way contracts was already passed for the Phoenix Suns and for the NBA. So if the Suns were to replace Vasily Micic with Colin Gillespie, they would not be able to, re-sign somebody back on that two-way. They would be stuck with two-way contracts in Jalen Bridges and in Ty Washington. But I do believe that Colin has Obviously, the best has the most NBA ready experience out of all those guys is obviously Colin had been on Denver in previous seasons and wasn't on a two-way in Denver. He was on, a fully guaranteed roster spot just at the end of the rotation. And I think that's something that he could present for the Suns as well and could also help for a player in Colin as well who wants to continue to grow and wants to continue to stay in this league. We see with a lot of young guys and with second round picks and guys that are, finding the end of the way of the roster, they only have, one, two, possibly 3 seasons to really make a key impression. And after that, they don't make a key impression. They're washed away because there's so many other potential guys coming through the draft and in the first and second rounds that teams are willing to take flyers on or willing to invest on their undrafted guys just because they have more potential because they are younger. So I do believe for Colin, this would be the best thing for him and for the Suns. Not only do the Suns get to see some development with Colin Gillespie, get to see what they have in him and see if they want to invest in him long term and get him on a cheap contract, but also he gets to develop and continue to show and grow as a player. As like I mentioned, we have seen him be solid for the Suns team, and I've knocked on Colin Gillespie on Twitter, and it's not a knock on him as a player because I know that he is a very solid player for this Suns team, and trust me, I went to Seton Hall. I saw Colin Gillespie play for Villanova for the 4 years that I was at college, and I can tell you right now that that man is a dog and he is an absolute beast. There is no fault in playing Colin Gillespie. The only questions that I had about playing Colin Gillespie is why are we continuing to play him if we still aren't playing our best defenders, guys like Ryan Dunn and stuff like that. But that's ultimately more questions and more discussion revolving around Mike Budenholzer that we've already had and doesn't need to beat down anymore. But let's look at the comment section. Let's look what people are saying. King Nacho and Phoenix Suns fan. I see you guys are in here, so I want to see what's up. This is big. Bull Beal needs to go to Chicago, and we get Vucevic and Lonzo, and KD needs to stay. I mean, you've been saying this in our streams multiple times. Phoenix Suns #1 fan. I think that that would be a perfect deal for the Phoenix Suns. Getting Lonzo Ball, getting Vucevic, getting to keep KD. The only thing is I can try this right now, right? And I can show you, but I don't even know if that goes through with the Phoenix Suns at this moment. So, Spot Track Trade Machine. So if you go to Spot Track, which this is the website you guys should be using for your trade machines here, you go to the trade machine beta and you can do different years. So we're going to do next year, right? So we can even make this deal for next year, right? So the Suns and the Bulls, right? So you can change it to next year so it makes it even with the next cap and all that stuff. But like I said, send Vucevic. I don't know if you can even send Lonzo's making 10. Yeah, I don't think the Suns could even do this because let's see. Yep, currently fails. You've exceeded the allowable income by 14 million. So Chicago needs to send out $14 million more for the Suns to do this deal. So they would have to get 14 more million, which would have to be one of these three. So Kevin Herter or Zach Collins. Aggregate restriction exists. Oh, so you can't aggregate these contracts. So you can only get Patrick Williams. So it would have to be this. This would be the deal. It would have to be Vucevic, Patrick Williams, and Lonzo Ball for Bradley Beal. Now, you do this trade. This obviously helps out the Suns in a lot of ways. You get a point guard to put around Devin Booker and Kevin Durant. You get another small forward or power forward that's pretty solid defensively, but is on a little bit of a bad contract in Patrick Williams, and you get the expiring in Vucevic. Now, your starting five would be Lonzo, Booker, KD, Patrick Williams, Vucevic, I guess at that rate, and it's not terrible. It's definitely better, more cohesive than what they have now. But then you still have Royce, Grayson. You still have other contracts that you would probably look to move off of to get a little bit younger to kind of fill those roles because Patrick Williams kind of plays similarly to Royce. Obviously, Royce is better offensively. Patrick Williams is a little bit better defensively, but I feel like they kind of overlap. So you wouldn't have ties. I mean, this trade isn't bad. I would definitely do this if I were the Suns, like obviously because it gets off Beal's contract, but I think that the Suns have some better options in potentially doing some deals, and if that's the case, let me show you the team that I want them to trade with, which is the Hawks, which if we go here, we can. Oh, why are the Bulls in here? I don't want the Bulls in here. We go here. We go here. We go here. Right. This is the type of trade I would want to do, where I look at a team like, oh, but yeah, oh, but it's next. Yeah, no. So can you do? Yeah, you can. Awesome. Let's go. So you can do cap holds and stuff. Okay, no, but I have to renounce the rights. Okay, now, yeah, I don't even know if you could do a trade like this. Because I was gonna say I want them to do a trade with Atlanta because personally, I do think that after this season, we're going to see Atlanta go in a little bit of a reset. I do believe that they're going to trade Trey Young, and I do believe that they will be in the market for some additional scoring. And I think Beal kind of fits that mold perfectly alongside Dyson Daniels and Zachary Rizar-Shea, two defensive main beasts, right? Those are the kind of players you want to pair alongside an offensive creator like Bradley Beal, something that we've talked about with the Phoenix Suns, pairing guys like Devin Booker and Kevin Durant around these guys. I think Bradley Beal kind of fits in like a glove. We've seen Dyson Daniels obviously go from a player that plays from off ball to a player that can play on ball and control with his hands, so and be a facilitator. So I think him alongside Beal would also work, filling in those defensive efficiencies. Yes, there'd be a smaller backcourt for sure, but you always compensate that with the long size of Zachary Rizar-Shea and Jalen Johnson. Johnson provides you some other obs, obvious offense, and then you got guys like Terrence Mann still on that team, which I didn't even realize was on there. Onyeka Okongwu, and I think the Suns could get, in return, basically, if they did a sign and trade, uh, if you gave me Karras, Clint, and Larry Nance, I'd be fine with that. Those are two bigs that help out our rim protection alongside Nick Richards, a shooting big alongside Durant. You still have the needs of Grayson and Royce O'Neal alongside of those players, and then you still address the rebounding with Clint and Nick kind of playing in between. Um, and adding Karras as an extra scorer slash shooter. Maybe you could look to move off of Grayson at that point, but I still believe that that would still be key for the Suns and maybe keeping him too. And that would help out a lot. Vucevic could be a small forward. How could Vucevic be a small forward? He plays center. How could he be a small forward? I would say Lonzo would definitely play point guard. You'd run Lonzo and Book at the one and the two, but Vucevic playing small forward would not be happening. He is a center. That it will not be happening, and I guarantee that. But yeah, this Suns team, like I mentioned, has Colin Gillespie, has been looking pretty solid. They do take on the Denver Nuggets in their next performance, which a lot of people are kind of high on this Suns team going up against the Nuggets. I'm personally not. I don't think that they're going to do that great versus this Nuggets team. Like I've mentioned, right? They lost to the Timberwolves earlier this week. They beat the Clippers, so this is their final game of the week. We want to do a little bit of a preview before we sign off, looking in depth with this Suns team versus the Denver Nuggets. Like I said, taking them on March 7th at 10 p.m. We see that in this game, if we want to continue. Oh, this is just Colin. Why? I was like, why is it not showing anything? Okay, let's go to. Nope, this is today. I want Friday, please. There we are. Sorry about that. But yeah, if we look at the game cast, give you a little bit of a preview for the game. Um, I want to look at the spread. Okay, well we got the injury report. Deron Holmes out for the season. Obviously, he's not playing. Julian Strouthers out. He recently just injured himself versus the Boston Celtics in their recent performance. And Aaron Gordon is day to day. That'd be great for the Suns. Obviously, Aaron Gordon, another interior defender, one that Bull with his length is going to have a difficult to guard with his size, I think, because Aaron Gordon's a little bit bigger, a little bit stronger, similar to like a Zion Williamson type of matchup. So it will be a little bit difficult, but Aaron Gordon just adds some interior presence for rebounding, adds extra defense that the Suns desperately don't want to be going up against, specifically against Nikola Jokic as well. For the Suns, Beal is a game time decision, and Cody Martin is a game time decision. That is a good upgrade for Cody Martin, as he has been, out for this whole tenure that he has been with the Suns. And the Suns could desperately use Cody Martin's defensive ability because he might not be no Caleb Martin, but he is a still solid defender and had provided that throughout his tenure with the Hornets. And honestly, the Suns just messed up ultimately this entire season. It's just tough. Just tough. They did that trade with the Hornets. They traded away Josh Okogie just because they were like, oh, he could be a throwaway contract, and then nothing happened. And then they went and got Cody Martin. Still traded them Yusuf Nurkic anyways when they could have traded Yusuf Nurkic for Nick Richards to begin with. It's just disaster. Book and KD need better players around them, or else they won't be happy. Well, yeah, I totally agree on that, and I 100% agree. And we've seen that visible frustration with Booker and Kevin Durant through the season. And if you're on X, Twitter, Blue Sky, if you follow Dwayne Rankin, if you follow Gerald Bourguet, if you follow any of these Suns reporters that get locker room access that provide these clips, you can see the visible frustration in Kevin Durant and Devin Booker in these losses. Clearly, they want a better team around them. Clearly, they feel that they're top tier players. They were just on Team USA and won a damn gold Olympic medal, and they can't even make the playoffs this season. There's clear, obvious discrepancies with this roster, with this coaching staff, with this front office, with this team's chemistry, everything in general, and it's bad to look bad on, but the ultimate save grace would be to repair that relationship, keep Kevin Durant, move off Bradley Beal. But at this point, it feels like a long shot at basically asking for that. No matter how optimistic, excuse me, you want to be, and how much optimism you want to have as a Suns fan, like including myself, we still stomach and kind of have to realize that this Kevin Durant thing could kind of be sooner rather than later. And by sooner, I mean at the beginning of free agency. You know what I mean? It could prolong itself. Who knows? Maybe they do repair that relationship. I would love for Kevin Durant and for the Phoenix Suns to repair this relationship. I want Kevin Durant to stay long term. I'm not one of those people that's asking for the Suns to trade Kevin Durant. I'm not blaming Kevin Durant in any way. Kevin Durant is doing his best for the Phoenix Suns organization to do what he does thinks best. He's playing his best basketball. He's trying to go out and win. He's trying to compete. And he's already said that he wants to stay in Phoenix. So he's given you all the right calls to kind of believe in him and kind of pursue in him. So I don't understand why the negative turn has been taken on him. Well, they can't make a trade ASAP, unfortunately, because the trade deadline is over. Phoenix Suns number one fan. So unfortunately, this season there's no more trades that can happen for the Phoenix Suns. This is the at the trade deadline on February 6th, a little over a month ago to this date, actually, it was finalized. There's no more moves being done for this Suns team. The only moves that this Suns team can realistically make at this point is waiving players and signing other players. And at this point, if they sign those players, even if they somehow find a way to make the play in and make the playoffs, those players are not playoff eligible, as the Phoenix Suns have passed the deadline in which they could sign those players to playoff eligible contracts. So the Phoenix Suns are kind of put in pickle. I mean, like I said, I think the best move for this team is with Misic getting overseas offers potentially being looked at. The Suns should, and the Suns not playing him anyways, might as well just cut their losses, waive him now, get rid of that $7 million, promote Colin, give Colin under $1 million because that's what he gets for getting called up. And then Colin takes that final or no, Colin gets a little bit more because he's gonna get like 2 to 3, but Colin gets a little bit of a pay raise. He gets to take that final roster spot. He can compete with guys like Monte and Tyus in that point guard realm for some minutes for this Suns team, and then ultimately can take off as a secondary ball handler, as another distributor, as a shot creator, and all that stuff. Yeah, in the offseason, I agree. I agree that they have to make moves in the offseason, but the offseason, unfortunately, is what, 4 months away at this point, 3 months away at this point, right? Because they still have a month and a half left of basketball, and then the Suns can't make any moves if they're not in the playoffs. So the Suns fans, Kevin Durant, Devin Booker, front office, me, you, everyone else is going to be watching this team from home, watching other teams play while they can't do anything. They just got to sit there and mold their decisions. And then after June, once the season ends, then they have to analyze the draft, figure out what direction they're going to go. Are they going to fire their GM? Are they going to fire their head coach? What's going to happen with this team? That's ultimately what's going to happen. I don't see any trades with this team, unfortunately, happening until late June, around the draft, early July. And I don't even see Kevin Durant getting traded before the draft because I don't see teams I don't see teams trading their future draft capital not knowing if Durant will sign the extension. They're going to want to make sure that they can get the extension agreed with Kevin Durant before they make the trade, and they're not going to be able to have those discussions with Kevin Durant and do all that until after the draft. So ultimately, I do believe that that's where the Phoenix Suns will be. But for this team right now, I think the best move, like I said, bring up Colin, bench Vasily Micic. I've seen a lot of other people talk about this as well, and I think it's just ultimately the best decision. If the Suns want to kind of win and show now that they want to win, like Manishby has been saying, why are we having a guy like Vasily Micic just sitting on the bench clapping and being a cheerleader when clearly he doesn't want to be here and he's not going to be getting any play time in Mike Budenholzer's offense? When Colin Gillespie, a player who's clearly getting some run, is obviously a two-way guy and definitely deserves that final contract. Yeah, SPGA, I don't know if he's the best player in the league. I'd say Jokic is still the best player in the league because Jokic is just so dominant. But SGA is just winning MVP because the level he's carrying his team to the first seed at 49 wins. The the Denver Nuggets unfortunately just don't have enough star power around them, and Michael Porter Jr. hasn't grown into that third star that they'd like to see. Aaron Gordon has slowed down a little bit. They've lost a little bit of depth. I do think that those Zach LaVine rumors were true, and I think that kind of going into next year, they're going to be in that star hunt. Shea's top three, yeah, he's definitely top three. I definitely agree with that. I think he might even be number two at this point. But I definitely agree that Jokic is one. I mean, you could say Shea, Luca, LeBron at this point, players like Kevin Durant, James Harden, Steph Curry, Jimmy Butler, they're all in their 30s plus and still dominating, playing with the rest of these guys that are, 26, 27, 28. So the stars have been showing, the league has been dominating. I've been really impressed with what we have seen on display outside of the Phoenix Suns in the NBA this season. And hopefully the Suns can kind of wake that up, turn that around. Like I said, going up against the Denver Nuggets on Friday, we will have a post game for you guys coming live Friday after the game, and we'll be having more obviously discussions and talkings about this Phoenix Suns team on the YouTube channel. I have been busy over these last couple of days, so I do apologize for no uploads over the last 2 days, but we will be having those videos going live for you guys once again on the channel, pumping them out daily as much as we can. So make sure to stay tuned, make sure to stay up to date on everything revolving around this Suns team by hitting the like, hitting the subscribe button, and let us know your thoughts down below in the comment section. I don't think the Suns will be making the playoffs, so I don't know if we'll be having, any watch along streams. But obviously, when the season does end for the Suns, we'll still be continuing to do these weekly live streams, going over this Phoenix Suns team, mulling the decisions, and ultimately going over what the Phoenix Suns should be looking forward to do in the offseason when it does get that time. But I do want to say shout out to everyone that did come by the stream, that did hang out, that did let us know your thoughts down below in the comment section. And if you guys do enjoy the content, make sure to continue to share the Suns news as well so we can get as many fans in here as possible. But thank you guys so much for tuning in. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Have a great rest of your night and go Phoenix Suns. Peace out, everyone.